You ever been having a completely ordinary day, not even thinking about your loss, and then suddenly you just know that something's wrong? You can't name it, you can't explain it, you just feel the shift. And the thought that almost always follows is the same. Why now? I was doing okay. I wasn't even thinking about the person that I'd lost. If that's ever happened to you, then this video is for you. In the next few minutes, I'm going to explain why this happens, what's actually going on inside your brain and body, and how you can respond in the moment so these sudden waves don't feel so frightening or overwhelming. Before we go any further, I want you to know that I've created a free set of grief journal pages specifically for the topic of triggers. They'll help you map your own triggers, steady your nervous system, and make sense of what your body's doing when grief suddenly hits you. You can download them using the link in the description below, and I'd encourage you to go ahead and do that as you watch this video. I'm Eddie Trauber. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and for over 30 years, I've walked with people through grief, trauma, and life-altering loss. And one of the most confusing parts of grief, no matter how much time has passed, is when you think that you're doing well and it suddenly reappears without warning. Here's the most important thing to understand about what we call triggers. A trigger isn't the emotion, it's the doorway that leads to the emotion. When something in your present moment resembles your loss in even the smallest way, your nervous system doesn't file that away as memory. It treats it as something that's happening right now. That's why triggers feel sudden. That's why they feel overwhelming. And that's why they don't make any logical sense. Your nervous system doesn't speak in words, it speaks in sensations. It recognizes attachment, it recognizes safety. And when something resembles what was lost in your life, it reacts before your thinking brain has time to catch up. This is why people often say, I wasn't even thinking about my loved one when the grief hit me like a ton of bricks. Of course you weren't. Your body noticed it first. When grief shows up like that, it's almost always because something has triggered the emotional memory of your loss. A trigger is anything that activates your memory inside your nervous system. Sometimes it's obvious. Could be a date on the calendar, a song on the radio, a picture, a holiday, a familiar place. Other times it's quieter, a certain smell in the air, a tone of someone's voice, a quiet early morning, or the stillness in the evening. And sometimes the trigger is completely internal. It could be fatigue or stress or loneliness. It could be that you're feeling overwhelmed or simply the moment when your mind finally slows down after a busy day and your heart has room to speak. Your nervous system stores emotional memory very differently than your thinking mind. You don't have to consciously remember anything for your body to respond. That's why grief rises up before you even got the words to put to it. Here's what's happening in that moment inside you. Your nervous system's constantly scanning for safety and attachment. And when it senses something connected to your loss, it activates automatically. Your heart rate shifts, your breathing changes, your muscles tighten up, your chest feels heavy. And before your thinking brain can even explain it, your emotional brain's already reacting. This isn't something that you choose, it's your body protecting what mattered. And this is also why those emotional shifts can happen even on days that started out okay. What's happening is that your emotional and mental systems are learning. They're recalibrating. They're figuring out how to live in a world that's changed. And this is also why triggers tend to hit harder when you're tired, stressed, sick, overwhelmed, or dealing with other major life changes. When your nervous system's already carrying more than usual, it has less capacity to filter emotional information. So reminders of your loss move through faster and they feel heavier. None of this means that you're doing grief wrong. It means that your system's doing exactly what it was designed to do. When a trigger hits, most people's instinct is to fight it or to analyze it or to try to shut it down. They start thinking, why is this happening? I shouldn't feel this bad. I thought I was doing better than this. I thought I was over this. And that internal struggle, it only makes the trigger feel more intense. So here's what helps in that moment. Instead of trying to stop the feeling, shift how you respond to it. Quietly remind yourself, This reaction actually makes sense. My heart's responding to something that mattered, and nothing's really wrong with me. That change in meaning often takes the edge off the trigger, and it can help your nervous system to settle down. Another simple thing that helps in the moment is to slow your breathing down. Try breathing in through your nose for 4 seconds and out through your mouth for 6 seconds. That longer, slower exhale tells your nervous system it's safe to calm back down. Doing this for even just a couple of minutes can make a real difference in how you feel. Another powerful response is connection. Sometimes the most stabilizing thing that you can do when a trigger hits is simply not to be by yourself in it. That might mean sending a text to a caring friend or family member that says, I'm having a rough time right now. Or it could be sitting near someone that you trust. Even holding on to something that reminds you of being cared for, like a little child holds on to their teddy bear. You see, our grief, it tends to soften when it's met with presence. And over time, something important happens. Triggers don't disappear because you ignore them, they soften because you learn how to stay with them. Every time you meet a trigger with steadiness instead of panic, your nervous system rewrites the association a little bit. And this is how healing actually happens. This is where faith becomes a steady anchor. Scripture reminds us in Isaiah 43, verse 2, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. That verse doesn't say that you won't pass through the waters. It says that you won't pass through them alone. Another passage, 2 Corinthians 1, verses 3 and 4 says, Praise be to the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our troubles. So when a trigger rises and your heart feels unsteady, you're not facing that moment by yourself. There's comfort available to you right there in the middle of it, even if the feeling doesn't disappear immediately. And if your grief shows up without warning, that doesn't mean that you're broken. It means your heart loved someone deeply. Some triggers will fade quickly, some are going to hang around a lot longer, and some will surprise you months or even years later. But each time you meet them with gentleness, your nervous system learns something new. It learns that I can survive this. Before you go, I'd encourage you to watch my video on the first 30 days of grief next. It'll help you understand what your nervous system is dealing with in the early stages and how to stabilize when everything feels upside down. And don't forget to download your free journaling pages about triggers. They're linked below. Remember, you're not doing grief wrong. You're learning how to carry love and loss in the same heart at the same time. And that's real progress, even on those days it doesn't feel like it. See you next time.